What's that? What's that? What's that? Yes. Anyways, welcome in, bitchass. So I quit my job a few months ago, as you may know. And when I was planning to quit my job, and I discovered that I had some, I counted the money that I had and figured that I could afford to do my own thing for a little while. I realized I have like a year's worth of cash. And so when I was explaining this decision or trying to come to this decision to quit my job and talking about it with my family, the way that I was kind of positioning it to them and to me was, okay, I'll quit my job, I'll work on my own shit for a year, and if I don't have replacement income by then, or when I still have a few months left of cash, then I'll just get another job. And that's been a useful mindset in order to take that step off the edge and start figuring out what it means to do my own thing on my own terms. Punk rock. But recently I've been feeling kind of stuck, or at least spinning my wheels temporarily. And I realized that it's potentially that same mindset that's holding me back. That same mindset that gave me the safety and peace of mind to make a risky decision that I really wanted and needed to make is also now potentially getting in my way and not helping me take the next steps. Because I realized okay, what if I thought about it not okay, I'm going to work on this for a year, I'm going to give it my best shot, and then if it doesn't work out, I'll just get another job, I'll go back to corporate shit world. But instead, if I said to myself, I'm never getting a job again. I'm retired, baby. Retired from jobs. And I have a year to figure this out, to make the next thing work. That's way more energizing. That's it's kind of scary, right? It's like lighting a fire under your butthole. And maybe that's the mindset shift that I need to push me forward into the next phases, to keep me going, to keep me energized, to keep me hungry. And I think that's a useful concept in a lot of scenarios. It's potentially your mindset that's holding you back, and it might even be a mindset that's been very helpful in the past, or is still very helpful, but in other situations. If you get into anything with the mindset of okay, I'll try it for a little while, or I don't know what I want specifically, or what I'm going to do, so I'll just do this thing for a little bit. That can be okay. And then after a certain period of time, it might not be okay. It might be keeping you stuck. It might be time to change that mindset of trying it out to a mindset of nah, fuck this shit. This isn't for me. Or I really actually do like this. Maybe I need to put my all into it, or buckle down on this, specialize in some way, or do more of what I'm already doing. And you could even blow that up a bit to larger world views, which gets kind of interesting because there's maybe mindsets out there that you don't agree with, or you think just aren't true. I see this conflict a lot in it's called locus of control. What things are in your control? Is everything in your control? Are you responsible for everything? Is nothing in your control? Is everything just determined and you have no say on the outcome? Is it a mix of those things? There's some things you can determine, some things that are out of your control. That's the reasonable middle ground that I think most people would agree with, but that's not always a mindset that serves you. Even if it's a mindset that most closely maps to reality or your experiences so far, what reality is for you. I've struggled with this. I've talked to my therapist about this in the past. There has been at times freedom for me in recognizing that some things aren't under my control. They aren't in my control, and that's okay. I can let those go. On the other hand, there's a lot of people who, particularly in the self-help space, who talk about the advantages of taking responsibility for things. Or Tony Robbins, one of the classic big self-help figures, talks a lot about believing that everything that happens to you is under your control. And there's some big problems with that, because dog shit things can happen to you, awful, terrible things, not just random inconveniences. And believing that those were in your control is a quick hop and a skip away from blaming yourself for the awful things that happen to you, which is a bad place to be. I don't think that's a useful place to be. I don't think that's not a useful mental model for the world, and I don't think it's true. But I think there is value in believing that you have the power to change things. And in that way, you can be responsible for what happens to you. And you can, like, as soon as you think about this, your mind probably immediately, like my mind, like pops up all these objections. Like, okay, what if you're in prison? Like, what if you're like drafted into a war? Like, what if you're kidnapped or your family's kidnapped? Like, there's plenty of situations where you're not controlling the events, right? They're literally out of your control, out of your hands. But your experience of them is always in your control. No one can take away that power from you. And it's not about blaming yourself for the bad things that happen to you, or saying that it's somehow your fault that like you got mugged or assaulted or God knows worse than that. But it's about taking ownership of how you respond to those things, how you continue to respond to those things, and what you do and think about and tell yourself moving forward. And that's dope. Like to me, that's very empowering, that you, even in the darkest moments, you can bootstrap yourself. Like, that's maybe not the best way to put it, but it can give you the power to get yourself unstuck. And you have, of course, your own personality and your opinions and your life bank of experiences that you've built up that kind of form who you are right now in your current worldview. And maybe you think that means you can't change your mindset about something, or you can't bring yourself to zoom out a little bit and like see around that, or see what's like slightly beyond that. And that's hard. That's like a hard part of being human, when you're not used to thinking about things that don't fit into your current mindset or worldview. But if you can practice that, I think like something that I'm considering or trying to work with is the idea of my mindset as a tool to help me live the way I want to live, or accomplish some goal that I want to accomplish, instead of like this absolute way that I see the world that dictates all my interactions. And that gives you the power to like shape reality, your reality, and your experience of reality. It's like of course the classic scene in The Matrix where the kid says, if you haven't seen The Matrix, I don't know how you haven't seen The Matrix, but anyways, the scene is Neo, who is learning to be like the godlike version of himself, but he like doesn't believe it at this point, comes into this room, and this kid is holding up a spoon, and he's bending the spoon with his mind, and he hands the spoon to Neo, and the kid says, "Do not try and bend the spoon, that's impossible. Only try and realize the truth." And Neo's like, "What truth?" And the kid's like, "There is no spoon." Neo's like, "There is no spoon?" And the kid's like, "Then you'll realize it's not the spoon that bends, but only yourself." And that's like what it is, right? It's like bending yourself changes reality around you, literally. In the literal sense that reality around you is just an extension of you. Like, I'm an extension of you, and every person is the same person, blah, blah, blah. We're all one. We're all one organism, one universe. Anyways, it's a useful tool, even if you don't get into the oneness of the universe. It's still helpful to be able to choose how you respond to things, and to choose your mindset about something instead of forming it as a reaction to what happens to you. And I think like the useful tip for this is realizing when it might be time to change your mindset, or think about what's keeping you frustrated, is just when you feel stuck. If you can use that as a reminder or trigger to think about the way you're thinking about whatever the problem is. And if maybe you're holding on to a mindset that is no longer serving you, even if it was useful in the past, or can still be useful at times. Like maybe sometimes it's useful for me to still think, I'm just giving this my best shot. And in 1 year, if I don't have it figured out yet, that's okay. I'll just get another job. And sometimes it's useful for me to think, fuck that shit. Pedal to the metal, baby. And that's okay too. And that's maybe both are true whenever I need them to be. And they can be for you too. Thank you for watching this. Thank you for listening. And if you know someone who would find this useful or interesting, send them this video. And I'll talk to you soon. Bye.